Why am I talking about this product like so much? And I recommend you to be very, very demanding, because you know this rule: use it or lose it. And this product part, as you remember, this is the part which many students don't complete because it's the most difficult to complete, and many teachers don't demand because it's quite difficult to give this, you know, framework, like you go and do something. I can't exactly describe you what you should do. You should just try and test and feel and catch. So some maybe teachers consider that it's not that much important, that the students will come to that idea, to this kind of understanding on their own. Yeah, this also can be used, this approach can be also used, yet it's not that much efficient. And still our work as teachers is to deliver the biggest efficiency ever. And of course, as I remember, during the grammar training, I was drawing such a scheme, again, such an iceberg, and I was telling you that our main work is to give presentation, coherent, clear, good presentation. Here, to give good practice. So, to be very attentive to possible students' mistakes, correct them, explain them, and give your students the chance to test new vocabulary, new grammar, any kind of new material. Test, to eventually become able to start using that independently, without you, without outside the class. And I also told you that a teacher must give about, I would say, 10% of a product. 10% of a product. So you, in the end of the class, you still give your students the chance to talk about product, to create the product by themselves. Let me remind you one more time what's the difference between practice and product. So practice stage, you are here for your students. You're like, you know, you complete, I would say like that, yeah? You are there by 70%. So what do I mean? That your students are kind of making first baby steps, and you're supporting them in every of their step when they're testing and trying new vocabulary. You're always there, and your students are like children, you know, who are just learning to do that, and they really need support. Otherwise, they will fall down. I mean, they will just stop. They will just, you know, quit using this vocabulary. So what was the point of all of this part if they quit using this vocabulary, if they don't understand how to use it? That's why here your support, like a mommy for a little baby, is crucial, very, very important. While here, product stage for your students, it could be similar, could be the parallel of like a teenage person or an adult person, yeah, who have been learning something during their childhood and teenage time, and it's time for them to go into this big, real, scary world and actually start using and practice what they have been learning in class. So basically the product is like that, and they completed outside the class. By 90% they completed outside the class, yeah. But 10% of the product, some initial production, some initial this initial product making. Okay, so anyway, you introduce your students in the class how they can create this product, and you are there, I would say, by 10%, by 20%. So you just look what your students have created, and you might give minor corrections. Still, they must be able by this stage to create it by themselves, even without your supervision. Having minor mistakes, that's okay. But at this level, they're like adults, you know, confident, standing on their feet, and able and are able to use this vocabulary without you. So how you can do it? Again, you create a framework for this practice. You can ask them to create some monologue using this vocabulary, to create some dialogue, to have some discussion, to have some presentation or performance, maybe even. like this. And just a couple of next activities are going to help you again to make it more fun, yet to give some illustrations, some free work to that. So how can you do it? For example, you have cards with the vocabulary you have given to students. Let's imagine these are different verbs, and you can you put these words like this in a row on the floor. Again, you help your students to stand up and have some active activities. So these cards could work even lying on the floor. And two students, like here are the cards, yeah, and two students are making a dialogue, and each student has to use this vocabulary in their, I would say, question, answer, then question, answer, like a dialogue, yeah. They are, one asks a question, another gives an answer. Then this guy or girl asks a question, and like this. And this can be quite easy when we're talking about some, I would say, more material things, yeah, or things we can touch or show, like with verbs. It's not that easy to make this dialogue, although it can be quite big fun. Yet, if you're studying more sophisticated vocabulary, again, like the vocabulary I told you previously about, for example, like this, poke life. Let's say it's like poke life. Poke life, derive a benefit from something. Life can be much broader, or some other vocabulary, some other phrases which we had yesterday, like embrace a chance or something like this. So these things are more abstract, and yet you have to be quite careful with the context to not to misuse it. It's so here, this dialogue activity can be more fun for your students with these colorful papers lying on the floor, because by itself, if they keep sitting on their seats, this activity could be even too much, because it's not always easy to ask a question with the full and such abstract phrase, and it's not always easy to answer the question given with another phrase. So it has to be dialogue, or I would say each sentence or each two sentences contains quite this sophisticated phrase. So to make it more fun for students, you can make that with the colorful cards and make them stand in. The same could be with some pictures, illustrated with some pictures. The same, you can give each a picture and ask to present it using the vocabulary, or build the dialogue using the vocabulary and somehow connected the vocabulary to the picture. Or again, they can give some presentation of whatever, of the picture, and even build some performance using that. What do I mean by performance? That, for example, you can give your students again a picture, let's say, okay, a picture like that, yeah, and they have to build a dialogue, for example, between the three girls, using the vocabulary and the priority vocabulary for sure, using the vocabulary given, and they also have to perform it, not only say this dialogue sitting at their places, but also perform it. And imagine that these girls have met in a cafe, so they have to actually pretend to be meeting in a cafe, eating something and discussing something while they are in the cafe. All these performance and all these kind of decorations are needed to get your students as much possible to the real life, as much to the real life as possible, because they have to go to the real life outside the class and be able to use this vocabulary. So the more uncomfortable they would be feeling in the class, the more demanding you are for them to complete basically all the stages of the product stage you demand from them, the higher are the chances that when they go outside the class, it will be easier for them to find the situation to use this vocabulary, and they will use it, otherwise they will lose it. Like this. So, and what else can I tell you today about selling it? And after you have completed this product part of your lesson, which is going to take about 10 or 20 minutes, Oh, and of course here it can be some kind of role play as well. There is a great book again which I'm going to give to you in the end of the presentation. You will be able to find the list with the links to some quite interesting materials, and for one of the books I would like to share with you, this it's called Role Plays for Today, and it contains very hilarious role plays for different kind of situations. For example, passport control at the airport or at the border. There is also like enroll in a gym, very funny kind of a game when a student is playing the role of a teacher, of a trainer, and others are like hypothetical members of the gym club, and this trainer asks them to perform different physical activities. And again, for example, we can take this dialogue, we can use ready cards as a practice, and then we can ask our students, and I would say we must ask our students to create similar situations but on their own. This will shift them to this product stage when they have to use this vocabulary without your supervision automatically. So every practice, every activity which you give to your students, it must contain some like independent students parts in the end of it. So if we compare like your work and your students' work during the practice and product stage of the vocabulary or any kind of learning, I would say that at first your role is very big and then going smaller and smaller. Yeah, so for example here give them very full, for example, ready sentences where they have to insert only the targeted vocabulary. So your performance, your preparation must be high, while the students are just accepting this information and making some minor effort here. And with the time, your efforts in making your students use these words is increasing, while the students' amount of efforts, your efforts are decreasing, and the amount of efforts of your students, they are increasing, because we know here at this stage they have to be strong enough to be able to operate this vocabulary individually. Now the same works with here practice and product. In practice at first your role is very big, then it's smoothly decreasing, which with each step of practice, with each new activity or with each new stage of current activity, I would say, and your student's role is decreasing, and this way here they will come to the independent usage of it. For example, a couple of more funny activities for practice or for product stage. Now this is taken from New English File Print Immediate book. This is about finding a perfect couple. Yeah, there are guys and there are girls who have some preferences, and like your students, again, they can be playing, you can role play somehow. Your students can be the agents from marriage agency trying to find the perfect couple, or for example, your students can be these couples who are trying to meet each other. But the principle, this is only your assistant. Yeah, the principle, you have to think how to do it at first, to give maximum of your effort, and then to give minimum of your effort and minimum of your students' involvements and efforts in the beginning and maximum in the end. And just more quite fun activity, and not very easy, I would say, for the topic of some items of clothes and some body parts after your students have learned it. So next lesson, you can, and you have to check the understanding, how much of the vocabulary your students remember. That's why next lesson you're checking their memories. Their memory, for sure, it can be just a form of very simple dictation, and you could just be talking, we could just be checking this, I would say, priority 1 vocabulary, but still you have to do it. just to make sure and to track some record for yourself, what the statistics, which of the words given, which percentage of the words given your students actually remember. And this could be just fun way to do that when a song is a Nina Simone song, I Got Life. It contains such lines as I have got my hair, I have got my head, I have got my brains, got my ears, got my this part, got my that part. And when the music is playing, your students just have to show these body parts, which is very, very fun and not easy because she is singing very, very quickly. So I would say quite quickly. So it's just the fun way. But this you can perform after your students have written some dictation on the vocabulary used and told you about which of these kind of sentences, they built in their head with this new vocabulary. Okay, so in the end of the presentation, you will be able to see different links. Of course, if you have any questions, so don't hesitate to ask them, write me, call me. And thank you very much for watching this training. Thank you very much for cooperating with the English project. And the next training is going to be how to teach listening. So see you there. Enjoy your time. Have your rest and use this information in your classes. I will check it. Okay, so thank you very much and see you very, very soon. Goodbye.